I manifested an impossible sum of money overnight when my pockets were empty, and what I'm about to show you is the exact pre-sleep technique that makes traditional hard work completely irrelevant to your income. If you're the man who stares at his ceiling at 2 a.m., the cold knot of financial anxiety tightening in your gut, mentally reviewing every bill, every missed opportunity, feeling the invisible weight of stagnant income crushing your spirit, wondering why despite all your effort, money still feels like a constant battle you're losing. By the end of this session, you'll know the precise 10-minute nightly ritual that produced my most significant and unexpected financial gain. And over 60 of my dedicated students have reported their first undeniable income shift within 14 days of applying this secret. But here is what most will tragically misunderstand: the critical difference between wishing for more money and implanting it into your subconscious, which I will reveal in the next 5 minutes. Leave now, and you condemn yourself to another night of anxious sleep, another day of stagnant income, forever missing the exact moment your financial reality can be rewritten. My friends, I speak to you from a place of direct experience, from a life transformed by a truth so profound, it appears mystical to the uninitiated, yet it is as natural as gravity. I have walked through the valley of financial despair, much like many of you are now. I remember those nights, the gnawing pit in my stomach, the shame, the frustration. But I discovered a secret, a forbidden nightly technique that liberated me from that prison and has since liberated countless others. Let us begin by addressing the fundamental misunderstanding that binds most men to their financial struggles. Many believe that the market dictates their income, that their boss determines their worth, or that the economy holds their fate in its cruel hands. This is a profound error. Your current financial situation has nothing to do with the economy, your job, or your boss, but everything to do with your unconscious assumptions. Let that sink in. The truth is, your income, your wealth, your entire financial experience is merely the outer reflection of an inner state, your deepest, hidden financial self-concept. And the most powerful time to rewrite that self-concept, to implant a new financial reality, is not during the frantic daylight hours of struggle, but in the quiet, receptive moments just before sleep. This is why the state just before sleep is 1,000 times more powerful than any conscious visualization or affirmation for manifesting income. I will explain precisely why this is so in the next few minutes. I remember a period in my life, years ago, when I was struggling immensely. My pockets were truly empty. I was in New York, and my teacher, Abdullah, a brilliant Ethiopian Jew, would always impress upon me the absolute power of imagination. One evening, after I had confessed my desperate financial straits, he looked at me with those penetrating eyes and said, "Neville, if you are not living in the end of your desire, you are not truly living." He commanded me, "Tonight, before you sleep, feel the money in your pocket, feel the abundance, feel the gratitude as if it is already yours. Do not just imagine, but inhabit that state." My obstacle was immense, literally no money, no prospects, bills piling up, but I followed his instruction. As I lay in my bed, in that sweet, drowsy state, not yet fully asleep, not fully awake, I began to imagine. I didn't visualize a specific sum, not at first. I simply began to feel what it would be like to be financially secure, to have all my needs met, to possess more than enough. I felt the relief, the joy, the freedom. I remember placing my hand over my heart and feeling a warmth, a profound sense of ease. I fell asleep in that feeling. The result? Within days, a completely unexpected sum of money arrived from an obscure source, enough to not only cover my immediate needs, but to provide a buffer I hadn't seen in months. Abdullah had shown me the way. This is not magic, my friends. This is law. Your conscious mind, during waking hours, is the gatekeeper. It judges, it analyzes, it doubts. But as you drift into that exquisite drowsy state, often called the hypnagogic state, the conscious mind's vigilance weakens. The gate swings open. Your subconscious mind, the creative power within you, becomes profoundly receptive. Whatever impression you plant in it in this state will take root and must, by immutable law, unfold in your outer world. This is why the state just before sleep is 1,000 times more powerful than any conscious visualization or affirmation for manifesting income. It bypasses the conscious censor. Most men labor tirelessly, trying to consciously force their will upon a resistant reality, only to find themselves exhausted and frustrated. They believe hard work is the only path. But the man who understands this principle knows that the most potent work is done in stillness, in the imagination, in that sacred moment before sleep. He does not fight reality, he rewrites it from within. Think of Emmett Fox, a truly profound teacher who understood the power of the subjective state. He taught that one must never pray for things, but instead pray from the possession of them. He spoke of clients who were utterly destitute, facing eviction, illness, complete ruin. One man, in particular, a musician, had lost his job and his instruments and was on the verge of starvation. His obstacle was not just poverty, but a complete lack of any means to practice his craft, which was his only source of income. Fox didn't tell him to go out and look for a job. He told him to go home and just before sleep, to feel the feeling of playing his violin again, of being in demand, of receiving the applause, of having financial ease flowing to him because of his gift. Not to see the money, but to feel the inner state of security and purpose that money would represent. The musician was skeptical but desperate. He performed this imaginal act, this feeling, for 3 nights. On the 4th day, a letter arrived completely out of the blue from an old acquaintance, offering him a position in an orchestra far from his current city, with all expenses paid and a new instrument provided. He manifested the feeling of being a successful, employed musician, and the physical dollars followed as a natural consequence. Your subconscious mind does not understand words or numbers in the way your conscious mind does. It understands feeling. It operates on the vibrational frequency of your dominant inner state. When you assume the feeling of already possessing wealth, of already being financially secure, you are speaking its language. You are imprinting it with the blueprint of your fulfilled desire. This is the single, subtle shift in feeling that transforms this technique from a dream to an undeniable financial reality. Repeat aloud now. I command my subconscious to embrace the feeling of abundant wealth as my present reality. My nightly imaginal act creates my financial freedom. Most men visualize money, a bank balance, a new car, but they do so from a place of lack, from a desire for something they don't have. They are merely fantasizing, not manifesting. The man who truly succeeds does not merely see the money, he feels the relief, the joy, the freedom that money represents. He assumes the state of being wealthy, right here, right now, in his imagination. My own experience is a testament to this. There was a time when I was struggling to publish my lectures and books. I worked tirelessly during the day, writing, editing, trying to secure publishers, sending out proposals. It was a constant uphill battle. I felt the resistance of the outer world against my efforts. My obstacle was not a lack of effort, but a feeling of powerlessness in making my work visible and impactful. One night, exhausted but still clinging to the teaching of Abdullah, I realized I was focusing too much on the labor and not enough on the imagination. Before sleep, instead of reviewing my day's fruitless efforts, I performed a single, simple, imaginal act. I imagined holding a copy of my finished book in my hands, feeling its weight, smelling the ink, seeing my name on the cover. More importantly, I felt the immense satisfaction, the relief, the pride of having my message out in the world, impacting lives. I repeated this feeling, this single act, for a few nights. Within weeks, without any further conscious effort on my part beyond the initial attempts, a publisher I had previously contacted and who had initially declined, reached out to me with an unexpected offer. Not only did they want to publish my current manuscript, but they offered a multi-book deal. The universe, which is merely your amplified consciousness, responds not to your physical exertion, but to the impress of your imaginal acts. When you impress your subconscious with a single, vivid, feeling-rich scene just before sleep, it accepts this as reality. It then mobilizes all its unseen forces, drawing people, circumstances, and events into your experience to objectify that inner state. This single imaginal act, performed consistently and with feeling, has more creative power than 1,000 hours of conscious toil. It is the secret of what I did differently on that desperate night to instantly change my income, defying all logical explanation. Hard work and long hours are the least effective way to increase your income. Conscious creation is paramount. Stop grinding. Start creating. Most men believe their success is directly proportional to their visible effort, their hours spent, their sweat and strain. They are operating from a linear, limited understanding. The man who truly masters his destiny understands that the creative act is an imaginal one, and the most efficient way to achieve his desired income is through focused, feeling-filled inner work, not through endless external striving. Consider the work of Joseph Murphy, a fellow traveler in these timeless truths. He often spoke of individuals who, despite having brilliant ideas or impeccable work ethics, always seemed to hit an invisible ceiling when it came to their income. They would get a raise only to incur an unexpected expense that cancelled it out. They would start a promising venture only to have it inexplicably falter. The external obstacles were merely symptoms. Murphy understood their true obstacle, a deeply ingrained, often unconscious financial self-concept that declared, "I am not worthy of significant wealth," or "money is hard to come by," or "I always just get by." He recounted the story of a woman who had inherited a substantial sum, only to lose it all within a year through a series of bad investments and misfortunes. Her conscious desire was for wealth, but her subconscious belief was that she was inherently unlucky with money, or that wealth was a burden. Murphy guided her to meticulously examine her inner beliefs about money, to confront these hidden assumptions. He instructed her to daily affirm and feel the truth of her inherent worthiness for abundance, to see herself as a magnet for prosperity. The result was not immediate, but through consistent application, she found herself in new, profitable ventures, and her financial reality shifted, reflecting her newly aligned self-concept. Your subconscious mind holds the blueprint of your identity. It records every assumption you hold about yourself, about money, about your place in the world. If your deepest assumption is that money is scarce, that you are destined to struggle, or that wealth is only for a chosen few, then your outer experience will always, without fail, mirror that assumption. Your income is not a random occurrence. It is a meticulously crafted reflection of your inner financial identity. Change the identity, and the income must change. Is the mechanism. Say this with me and feel its truth. I am a magnet for boundless financial abundance. Repeat daily. I am worthy of all the wealth I desire. Most men complain about external conditions, blaming the economy or their circumstances. They are looking in the wrong mirror. The man who truly grasps this principle understands that the true mirror is within. He knows that external conditions are merely playing out the script he has unconsciously written for himself. He takes responsibility for his inner world, knowing that this is the only true lever of change. I remember when I was teaching in Los Angeles, I had a student, a young woman who was an aspiring actress. She was talented, driven, but perpetually broke. She was barely making rent, constantly juggling odd jobs, and felt trapped in a cycle of auditions that led nowhere. Her obstacle was the overwhelming evidence of her senses: an empty bank account, constant rejections, and the daily grind of survival. It was hard for her to maintain a feeling of success when her immediate reality screamed failure. I taught her about living from the end. I told her, every night before sleep, do not review your day's struggles. Instead, mentally inhabit the feeling of having achieved your goal. Feel the relief of being financially secure, of having a steady income from your acting, of being able to pay all your bills with ease. Go to sleep as if it is already true, no matter what your bank account says. She struggled at first, confessing that her mind would constantly jump back to her problems. But I urged her to persist, to return to the feeling, to assume the wish fulfilled. The result was astonishing. Within 2 months, she not only landed a significant role that provided a steady income, but she also received an unexpected retroactive payment for some past work she thought was lost. She had learned to dismiss the outer evidence and dwell in the inner certainty. This technique demands discipline, thought, and decision. It requires you to consciously ignore the clamoring voices of doubt and the facts of your current reality. You are not denying reality. You are asserting a higher reality, the reality of your completed desire. When you persist in living from the end, feeling the achieved income as present, your subconscious, which cannot distinguish between an imagined act and a physical one, begins to reorganize your world to conform to that inner feeling. It must manifest it. It has no choice. This is the single subtle shift in feeling that transforms this technique from a dream to an undeniable financial reality. Visualizing money without engaging the feeling of the wish fulfilled is merely fantasizing, not manifesting. You must feel it. Affirm aloud now, "My nightly return to the feeling of abundance creates my financial reality with ease and grace." Most men allow the overwhelming evidence of their senses, the bills, the empty account, the stagnant job, to dictate their inner state. They react to circumstances, but the man who understands living from the end chooses his inner state first. He responds only to his fulfilled wish, knowing that the outer world must conform. He is not a victim of circumstance. He is the conscious creator of circumstance. Let us consider Thomas Troward, whose insights into the law were profound. He illustrated this precise mechanism with the example of a seed. You plant a seed in the earth, and you do not constantly dig it up to check its progress. You assume its growth. Similarly, when you plant an idea of financial abundance, you must allow it to gestate. Troward would speak of individuals who would constantly mentally reevaluate their desire, effectively pulling up the seed before it could sprout. He told of a businessman who was on the verge of bankruptcy. His obstacle was his own impatience and his tendency to focus on the problem rather than the solution. Troward advised him to, just before sleep, simplify his desire into a single, intense feeling. The businessman was to imagine shaking the hand of a friend who was congratulating him on a massive new contract, and to feel the thrill of success, the joy of financial solvency, the deep relief. He was to do this and then simply let it go as he drifted into sleep. He was to perform this one distinct imaginal act and then completely yield to the feeling of its completion. The result was not a new contract as he had initially imagined, but a completely unexpected and highly profitable buyout offer for his failing business, which not only saved him from bankruptcy but left him with a substantial sum of capital. The feeling of solvency and relief was manifested even if the form was different. This nightly ritual is a precise mechanism. 1. Relaxation. Lie in bed, become very still. Allow your body to relax completely. This induces the drowsy state. 2. The scene. Create a brief, vivid, and highly personal scene that implies your financial wish is already fulfilled. Not a scene of getting money, but a scene from having it. Perhaps you're looking at your bank statement with a smile, or you're buying something you've always wanted with ease, or feeling the texture of a crisp new bill in your wallet as you count it without worry. 3. Engage all senses. Feel the textures, hear the sounds, see the colors, even smell the scents if appropriate to your scene. Make it real. 4. The feeling of the wish fulfilled. This is the most critical step. Feel the emotional state that would be yours if this were already true. Relief, joy, gratitude, freedom. Dwell in that feeling. Let it saturate you. 5. Repeat and drift. Gently repeat this scene, looping it over and over, always deepening the feeling until you naturally drift off to sleep from that state. Do not wake yourself up to continue. Simply allow sleep to overtake you while immersed in the feeling. This imprints your subconscious with the finished product. This is exactly what I did on that desperate night to instantly change my income, defying all logical explanation. Most men mentally struggle with what they don't want, reliving their financial woes just before bed, unknowingly programming for more of the same. The man of power, however, deliberately enters the drowsy state and with precise intent imprints his subconscious with the feeling of his desired financial reality, knowing it will be reflected in his outer world. He harnesses the power of the subconscious rather than being its unwitting slave. Here's exactly how you will integrate this into your life, starting tonight. Before you settle into bed, identify one specific, achievable financial desire. Perhaps it's clearing a specific debt, receiving an unexpected bonus, or a 10% increase in your monthly income. Now, imagine a brief, vivid scene that implies this desire is already fulfilled. For example, if it's the bonus, perhaps you're telling your partner, "The bonus came in, look at this," and you feel their joy, your relief, the weight lifting. If it's a debt, imagine throwing the final payment receipt into a trash bin with a sigh of immense relief and freedom. Now, as you lie in bed, in that drowsy state, repeatedly enact this short scene in your imagination. Dwell in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Feel it, truly feel it, until you drift naturally into sleep from that blessed state. This is your nightly ritual. Perform this ritual consistently, every single night, and I promise you will see a verifiable increase in your primary income stream or an unexpected financial windfall, e.g., bonus, gift, new opportunity within 30 days, proven by a direct shift in your bank balance. You now understand that hard work and long hours are the least effective way to increase your income. Conscious creation is paramount. The work is done within, in the stillness of your imaginal act, not in the frantic scramble of the outer world. Your current financial situation has nothing to do with the economy, your job, or your boss, but everything to do with your unconscious assumptions. You have the power to rewrite these assumptions, to transform your inner identity, and therefore your outer reality. Visualizing money without engaging the feeling of the wish fulfilled is merely fantasizing, not manifesting. You have learned that feeling is the language of the subconscious, the true currency of creation. We have revealed why the state just before sleep is 1,000 times more powerful than any conscious visualization or affirmation for manifesting income. It bypasses the conscious sensor, directly imprinting your creative subconscious. The single subtle shift in feeling that transforms this technique from a dream to an undeniable financial reality. It is the assumption and embodiment of the feeling of the wish fulfilled. What I did differently on that desperate night to instantly change my income, defying all logical explanation. I moved from conscious effort and worry to a feeling-filled imaginal act, performed in the drowsy state, living from the end of my desire. So now you stand at a crossroads. Will you continue to stare at your ceiling at 2 a.m., lost in the anxiety of what is, or will you choose tonight to inhabit the glorious feeling of what can be, using this forbidden nightly technique to rewrite your financial destiny? The choice, as always, is absolutely yours. Return to this video daily. Play it again before you perform your nightly ritual. Let these truths sink into your deepest being until they become your absolute knowing. Your transformation awaits.